Mr. Speaker, I rise to present some truly bewildering and completely unacceptable news out of my state, the state of California. I have been very critical of government performance in our state, with giving taxpayers the services that they are paying for. And this latest example makes that point very, very clearly. For the last 6 or so years, Californians have been paying an extra fee on their phone service. This was due to legislation enacted by the legislature and signed into law by the governor. So all of these fees were collected for the purpose of creating a next generation 911 system, which honestly is something that we need. The system is quite outdated and antiquated and not up to the task of serving the many different kinds of emergencies that we get in California. So for the last 6 years, these extra fees paid for by California taxpayers, which are in addition to the state budget itself going up over 50% during that time period, these fees were used to build out this new 911 system. The state spent $450 million building out this 911 system. Well, just last week, it was announced that after spending all of this money, the state is scrapping the entire project because the technology does not work. It is absolutely beyond belief. The $450 million that Californians have been paying on their phone bill was absolutely, completely squandered, wasted by the state, which not only wasted all of that money, but has now left Californians with an inadequate 911 system because they need to start over from square A. This, Mr. Speaker, is an example of how the failures in Sacramento that have degraded the quality of life for people throughout our state are not a matter of Democrat versus Republican, but simply a matter of competence, of basic government performance, of serving the people of our state, as opposed to serving other agendas. So I hope that this latest debacle will be a wake-up call to demand the sort of accountability that our taxpayers are entitled to in California, and for the way the government in Sacramento is run to be completely revisited, to be reoriented in a way that is based on performance, that is based on competence, that draws upon the best practices of the private sector, and that ultimately is geared towards citizen service rather than the other interests and agendas that too often prevail at our capital. Mr. Speaker, for years, I have been warning about the declining education outcomes that exist across our country, but in particular in my state of California. And we just received a jarring reminder of just how bleak things have gotten. UC San Diego, which is a rather selective school in California, has recently announced that a large share of its students can no longer even do basic math. The school announced that the number of students who require remedial courses has gone from 1 out of every 100 to 1 out of every 8. This truly jarring state of affairs comes in spite of a massive increase in education funding in California. Indeed, since Governor Newsom came into office, the overall education budget has increased by almost $40 billion. And yet, what's the outcome of that? We have students at a fairly selective university who can't do basic math. And by the way, the state also has the highest illiteracy rate in the entire country. I have advocated for reforms to our education system in California that would actually close achievement gaps and serve students. And as chair of the K-12 education subcommittee here in the House of Representatives, I've advocated for those reforms not just for our state, but on the national level as well. We have seen that when states and districts take a data-based approach to instruction, then it can get tremendous results for students. We see examples like KIPP or Success Academy. These are charter networks that have vastly, vastly outperformed other public schools, despite serving students who are well below the poverty level in many cases. If Success Academy were its own district, it would rank at the very top of the rankings in student performance in the state of New York, which is one of the reasons I'm sponsoring the High Quality Charter School Act that would make more opportunities like that available throughout the country. We've also held hearings in my subcommittee on teaching literacy appropriately, which California is finally moving in that direction. Teaching math appropriately, getting back to basics, utilizing education technology in the right way without having students be exposed to excessive screen time. We've looked at school choice programs, including, most importantly, expanding charter schools. And we've looked at the foundational importance of parental rights. In California, unfortunately, we have an education system that is not about the kids. That's why we have among the highest achievement gaps in the country. That's why we have these jarring statistics that we're getting out of UC San Diego. That's why California had the longest school shutdown in the entire country during COVID-19. So I would hope that these latest numbers will serve as a wake-up call to enact the sort of education reforms that have worked well in other states, because we are failing our students right now, and we are imperiling our state and increasingly our country's future. Mr. Speaker, there is no doubt that affordability and the cost of living are increasingly salient issues for many, many people in this country. And it's becoming harder for many people to get by. And there are many reasons for that. And I have proposed and, in fact, passed legislation in a number of areas related to the cost of energy and the cost of healthcare to start to address those problems. But I was caught somewhat by surprise to hear the governor of my own state, of California, commenting on this issue, and even saying that no state matches California's success, that, quote, the numbers speak for themselves. So I thought I would go through what some of those numbers are when it comes to the lack of affordability in the state of California, because I think it offers insight into steps that we could take nationally to make life more affordable for folks not only in California, but across the country. And the basic gist of it is to do exactly the opposite of what California has done. So Newsom says the numbers speak for themselves. Here are the numbers. California has the highest gas prices in the entire country. Number one out of all 50 states. It's not even close. You can drive a few miles from here in Maryland, which is another blue state, by the way, and you'll get gas for $1.50, $2 cheaper at least. You can go to Hawaii, which is an island state after all, and you'll get gas for 20 cents cheaper than you do in California. The cost of electricity. California is number one in the country. The New York Times recently published a map showing how much electricity rates have increased over the last several years, which tracks during the time that Gavin Newsom became governor. California saw by far the biggest increase in electricity costs of any state in the country. Water bills. California ranks first or close to it of any state in the country for how much we pay for water. The cost of housing. California is number one in the country for the median cost of a home, actually number one in the continental United States. Hawaii is a little more expensive there. Taxes. California is number one, has the highest income tax rate of any state in the country, as well as the highest gas tax rate of any state in the country. Government spending and debt are so much higher in California, and that relates to affordability as well. because of course it means that we have to get more money in taxes and fees. It also means that the infrastructure that supports businesses is inadequate, which raises their cost of living, which results in higher costs to consumers. Not to mention California being the worst business environment of any state in the country. It's repeatedly been rated as having the worst litigation environment as well, which means that those costs are passed on to consumers too. Insurance. When it comes to fire insurance, in many parts of our state, you pay more than you pay just about anywhere in the country because of the catastrophic fires that have done so much damage and because of the way the insurance issue itself has been mismanaged. So what is the lesson here? Well, number one, the lesson is California needs to change its own policies. But number two, we can learn from California's failures as we enact reforms at the federal level to improve the quality of life and affordability for folks throughout the country. So when it comes to gas prices, it's no mystery what's happened. California's taxes and regulations and insistence on special fuel blends have caused costs to go up inordinately. And this, by the way, doesn't even factor in that we have 2 refineries that are about to close. Fortunately, we just passed legislation here in Congress to address partially this issue of refineries. There's one study from USC that says that by the end of next year, Californians could pay $8 for gas. Electricity. California has passed all kinds of regulations that no other state has, at least not to that extent, that restrict the supply of energy in our state. And by the way, it's done ostensibly in the name of the environment, but California's policies have been incredibly damaging to the environment as well. Just in 1 year, for example, the catastrophic wildfires that our state had erased all of the emissions reductions from the prior 16 years. In fact, it erased them 2 times over because of our state's very poor policies when it comes to forest management, which goes to the insurance issue as well. That's why I'm very proud to sponsor the Fix Our Forests Act, which allows for more effective forest management, which will stop catastrophic wildfires, which will make it so we don't have to keep raising the price of insurance. That has passed the House of Representatives with bipartisan support, and it's time for the Senate to pass it as well. When it comes to the cost of housing, we've seen how California has piled on fee after fee after fee so that a project costs tens of thousands of dollars before you even break ground. And even worse, we've seen how California has allowed frivolous lawsuits to delay projects for years and for decades. That all gets baked in to the price of the home, and that's why I'm sponsoring a number of measures here to try to make housing more affordable. Of course, the tax issues speak for themselves. So we have a lot we need to do to continue to make life more affordable for Americans. We have seen some progress in certain areas when it comes to the price of gas across the country, when it comes to the supply of energy, and some other issues. But unfortunately, people in my state are bearing the brunt of it. So I would again encourage the leaders of our legislature and the governor to chart a different course, to start actually working for the people of California. This is why, by the way, we have the highest real poverty rate in the entire country, is because the cost of living is so high and the economic opportunity is so low. We actually have the highest unemployment rate in California as well. As the governor would say, the numbers speak for themselves. So I would encourage us here, not only for those of us in California to encourage a change in action on the part of our state's own leadership, but for Congress itself to follow the anti-Newsom playbook in making sure that we don't see costs across the entire country rise to the level that they